Hello, I'm Linus Wilson. This is Avery, and we're going to talk about The Witcher Netflix Season 1, Episode 8, entitled Much More. There will be spoilers in this, so if you've not watched the episode, you probably should watch it first and then come back to this video. Here on the Linus Wilson channel, we cover The Witcher Netflix and other fantasy TV and The Witcher games. So, this is the season finale. At long last, the timelines are totally together. We had the awesome Battle of Sodden. We have Ciri meeting Geralt for the first time, last moment of the episode. I was sure they were going to say much more because that was like the last line of the Sword of Destiny book and the short story Something More. So, Ciri, you're much more. But they didn't say it. But it was still pretty cool. I thought it was a very faithful to the books. Of course, the battle for Sodden Hill is not really covered in the books. It's only referred to. About all we know is that there were 14 mages that died. Supposedly, Triss Marigold was one of them, but she was instead badly injured, which we saw. She was badly injured on her breast or just above her breasts, on her chest. And we saw that in this episode. But besides that, Andrzej Sapkowski really never covered it. Of course, that wasn't covered in the Witcher games, which take place after the novels. So it was cool to see their interpretation of it, first chance interpretation of that. And then we also saw Yurga. So they did the Yurga story. I wasn't sure that they would, but they did. They modified it a bit. They made Yurga kind of a more noble character than he was. So I think in the books, when Geralt comes across Yurga after he fails to connect with Ciri, then Yurga wants to save his merchandise. And then in this episode, Yurga was just trying to bury the dead, and they were overrun by ghouls. And of course, Geralt is badly injured. He has visions. He sees his mother, who also helps heal him. I thought one thing that was significant for me, knowing the story, but to see the flashback of how his mother gave him up. I don't think that is in the books, but I was really worried they were going to show us who Vesemir was, because I'm holding out hope against all hope that Mark Hamill will be Vesemir in season 2, but I don't think they've hired him yet. They had not hired him by the summer, but let's have our fingers crossed. Write petitions. Hopefully Mark Hamill will be Vesemir in season 2, but we'll get to see Vesemir in season 2 for sure. So we expect season 2 to come out in 2021. I thought overall this is a very good episode. We ended the episode with not knowing what happened to Yennefer, which is kind of consistent with the short story. It's told in a totally different way, but kind of consistent. We don't know what happens with Yennefer at the end of Something More. We just know she wasn't one of the 14. Now, it might be that she is one of the 14 mages, but she doesn't die. And maybe they'll switch that around, because it seems pretty obvious that Triss did live at the end of this episode. But we don't know what happens to Yennefer at the end of this episode. It seems like she used all her power in a suicide move to wipe out the Nilfgaardians with fire, with a super igni. They really have the Nilfgaardians and Fringilla Vigo just being, the devil in this. The whole magic that was like killing the magic users, that was wiping out, and thus, I guess, making you think that Yennefer may have committed suicide by overdoing the magic. Um, I guess that's possible. I think from the episode, I think I was worried that um, Yennefer's classmate Sabrina Glevisig had kind of turned and was uh, working for Fringilla, but I think the way to interpret it was those worms that they created by killing another one of the Nilfgaardian mages had taken over Sabrina Glevisig, and that was why she did all that evil stuff and attacked Yennefer. And it looked like Sabrina is dead, but I think, who knows what they're going to do in the show? Definitely, I think she's alive in the books, and of course, if you've played The Witcher 2, you know that, I guess maybe not. If you played The Witcher 2, then Sabrina, according to that canon, dies because of something she does at a battle for Kedwin when she's advising Kedwin, and she's burned at the stake. So I don't think that she's dead, although it seemed like she was dead at the end of that episode. But maybe just like Yennefer, she was injured from the fall but did not die. And that also, what I didn't understand with the fight with Tissaia de Vries and Fringilla Vigo was, why didn't Vigo kill Tissaia after she had blown the Dimeridium? So Dimeridium, for the game players, will be very familiar with this, that Dimeridium wipes out magic, and so that made, I guess, Tissaia helpless unless she had a dagger or something. So why didn't Fringilla finish her off? Don't know why that was the case. I don't know. Fringilla's Dimeridium bombs work a lot better than the Dimeridium bombs in Witcher 3, that's for sure. And I don't know what those blue things that were exploding. I don't think those little explosions were that good. So probably maybe the weakest thing of the season was the special effects in the season, and maybe we could throw those explosions into that. I thought the big balls of fire they were sending, that was kind of cool. The one that Yennefer blocked was pretty cool. But I had no idea what Vilgefortz was up to. Except that he was visiting Cahir, and he was interested in what Cahir was doing, what his mission was. But besides that, I don't know what objectives he was trying to achieve. And I have some ideas given that I read all 8 books, but it in the context of what's going on with Vilgefortz, why was he attacking Cahir? And then what was he doing after he attacked Cahir? And who was he attacking? I wasn't sure who those folks were. So maybe we'll talk about Geralt. So Geralt, right, is injured defending Yurga. And let's see. I forget the name. I think it's Yurga's wife is the one that takes an interest in Ciri. Right? And so in the books, Geralt does he does whatever you find at home, but do not expect, I demand. And he did that before he defended Yurga. Whereas they showed it in this, that it was just Yurga offers that. But I guess that, for simplicity's sake, to save time, that's one way of doing it. Because really, Geralt did that as kind of in the same way that he did with Ciri. Once he did it, then he was like, I don't really want it. So, but Yurga insisted on it, and he was actually quite eager to have one of his sons become a Witcher. Even though he expected them to be at home, he wanted one of them to be this Witcher because he thought he needed to be apprenticed at something, and he thought a 30% chance of surviving was better than just being a man in the Northern Kingdoms at a time of war. So That, but in the end, Ciri was there. Although it was kind of made you a little nervous that Ciri had like skipped out of Yurga's house before that, but I guess their sensory perception brought them together, and that was funny. I thought it was really funny that Ciri was dreaming about Yennefer, and she's like, "Who is Yennefer?" Okay, so my general take is like, going forward, they had to write a lot of extra stuff for Ciri. Do they have to write a lot of extra stuff for Yennefer? Because Yennefer was really kind of the protagonist of this season. I think if you do the actual minutes, Anya Chalotra as Yennefer had more minutes than Geralt of Rivia by Henry Cavill. So I don't know if that's sustainable through many different seasons. We will see. But I guess you're supposed to think that she's dead, and she might be dead. Who knows? They don't have to follow the books. But they did put, they put Yennefer's symbol right here. You can see it. So it might be an indication she's got some plot armor. So anyways, overall, I thought it was a good episode. I thought they wrapped it up nicely. I was hoping that they would have Geralt and Ciri get together at Yurga's house, and they did. So I was happy with that. We shall see what's happening with the sorceresses. It's kind of up in the air what has actually transpired with all the sorceresses, who's alive, who's dead, what's going on with them. And I was surprised. I think overall, I'm very surprised that Cahir having such a prominent role, but not a very developed role. I don't feel like I understand much about Cahir except that he's like a guy that's stalking Ciri, and he seems bad. That's about all I know. And Fringilla just seems just like pure evil. She has a much bigger role. I think Fringilla has such a much bigger role in this than in the books. I don't recall her. Yeah, I mean, she's not. For one thing, it's all due to the enhancement of Ciri's role as it enhanced Fringilla's role. So we had to have somebody stalking Ciri, so they made it Fringilla and Cahir maybe to make it more interesting. Whereas Fringilla doesn't really show up until the saga, and I don't think that stalking Ciri is mainly what she's doing. But well, I mean, she does do that. She does do that in the saga, but that role has been really enhanced in the same way that Ciri has been enhanced in the short stories. So we've covered the short story books. We might see another short story. So I think Redanian Intelligence is reporting that the kind of Beauty and the Beast story might be in season 2. But maybe this time, instead of just Geralt going there, maybe it's Geralt and Ciri doing it. Who knows? So I'm excited for what's to come. I think season 2 will be very exciting. I think they'll end it on a very high note, and probably a cliffhanger, probably even a bigger cliffhanger than the possible death of Yennefer. So subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. My name is Linus Wilson. We do The Witcher games. We cover fantasy TV such as The House of the Dragon and The Witcher Netflix. Bye-bye. Good luck on the path.